4.5. Given a scenario, modify enterprise capabilities to enhance security. So now we're just going to go over a lot of different technical controls, okay? So in the objectives of domain 4.5, learning about all these technical controls again, kind of going maybe a little bit deeper. So we're going to go over firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, web filtering, operating system security, group policy, security enhanced Linux, secure protocols, some specific DNS filtering and email security, and then also the applications we're going to install in our enterprise. Some of these, again, I know we've talked about in previous sections to help secure our enterprise. All right, firewalls. So firewalls, security devices that are monitor and control incoming and outgoing network traffic. At the end of the day, a firewall is there to filter from the inside to the outside to the inside. It's there to be have multiple zones like screen subnets on it. It can do layer 3, layer 4 filtering. As security administrators, we set the rules on the firewall of what's going to be permitted or allowed. We have a bunch of different types of firewalls, from stateful to stateless. Stateful, where it actually monitors the state of that traffic and will make a determination if it's going to be allowed back in, like from inbound to outbound, outbound to inbound. We have next generation firewalls. They're going to be able to do deep packet inspection, going to be able to look at the applications, do content filtering, URL filtering. We want to make sure we configure TLS inspection on our next generation firewalls so that we can actually look inside TLS connections from our clients out to the internet, kind of almost acting like a proxy and doing that almost like an SSL stripping, but it just allowed us to look deep into the packet like it's supposed to. These firewalls are configured with access lists. These access lists are going to contain what's called access control entries. Let me rewrite that there. Access control entries. They're going to be our permit/deny statements. Also, sometimes like allow or deny, allow or block statements. Okay, so that's firewalls. They are essential in establishing a barrier between secure internal networks and unsecured external networks. And this can be, firewalls can be applied on hosts. They can be applied at the perimeter of a traditional network. They could be in the cloud as well. They could be web application firewalls that just focus on HTTP traffic. IDS and IPS systems, something that we've talked about a lot in this course as well. IDS systems detect potential cyber incidences, right? They monitor network traffic for suspicious activity. They issue alerts. They're an alerting device. They can also sit inline on the network. They could also be host-based. We have IPS that's going to do what IDS does and a little bit more. It's going to actively block or prevent such activities. So we are going to have to configure and fine-tune our IPS systems to stop incidences automatically if that's what we want. Of course, the danger of that is false positives, right? If we tune our IPSs to do heuristic analysis, potentially we could be blocking not malicious network traffic from leaving our network, right? That's why typically we want to just do signature based on that, because we don't want anything to interrupt the day-to-day. Because it is possible for a false positive to come up when we're doing behavior analysis, okay? Web filtering. Let me bring this up. Oops. So web filters are used to restrict or control the content a user is authorized to access. So a lot of different ways we can filter our web content. This can be done on a firewall, and that firewall can have all these additional security features, but we're going to go over them. So we have agent-based. This is us, like, honestly, we can harden web browsers to say, hey, don't go to these specific URLs. So that's going to be installed in the actual endpoint. We can have a proxy, where that proxy may be a centralized or a forward proxy that our users connect to first. We're doing content or web filtering there. We have URL scanning. This involves examining and classifying URLs to block harmful sites. This can be done at the firewall, on the proxy, or at the agent base on the host itself. A lot of times this is like, we just integrate a domain blacklist into our URL scanning. It's like, hey, these are well-known domains that you shouldn't go to. We have content categorization. So organizing web content into categories helps in applying security policies. So if we want kind of just a little bit easier to manage, we can say social media sites, no go on our enterprise. And then from there, maybe granularly say, okay, well, maybe WhatsApp, need to talk to people from work on the computer. Block rules. So these are going to be specific rule sets and web filters to block access to certain sites or content. And then reputation. So reputation-based filtering. So obviously this is going to be like those domain blacklisting, those domain blacklists that say, hey, these are well-known malicious domains. And also this could be like if we're in the GDPR saying, hey, this site we don't trust because they actively release our data, our users' data, and they violate our data privacy laws. All right, let's go ahead and do our check on learning. Okay, so question 1. What is the main purpose of content categorization and web filtering? That's going to be C, right? To restrict access to web content based on organizational policies. That's the whole reason we're doing it. We're not doing it to increase speed or encrypt. We're just doing it because we want to restrict what our users can reach out to on the internet. Question 2. In the context of web filters and firewalls, how does reputation-based blocking improve security? That's going to be C, by blocking access to websites with a history of malicious activity based on reputation scores. Question 3. In the context of intrusion detection systems and intrusion prevention systems, what is the role of signatures? That's going to be B, to identify patterns of known threats for detecting potentially blocking malicious activity. Signature-based, guys, it's the same, whether it's antivirus, any malware, data loss prevention. Those are going to be the same, right? Well-known malware, okay? They're signatures, which could be like a hash, right? Or the hash of an organization. Okay, question 4. How does Universal Resource Locator, or URL, scanning and a centralized proxy enhance security? So it's going to check our URLs, right, against known malicious sites to prevent access to harmful content. That's something that we may configure, or maybe that proxy that we get, like if it's an F5 or whatever vendor we get it from, that says, hey, this is our well-known list that we're giving you that you're subscribed to because you ordered from us, right? Question 5. Why is it important for an organization to regularly update and review firewall rules and access lists? So it's going to be C, to ensure that only authorized traffic is allowed and to adapt to the changing security landscape. So what we're saying here is if you have a firewall that's been on the network 4 or 5 years and you just set up access rules and permit and deny statements upon installation, probably those rules are going to be a little outdated, right? We're going to have increased vulnerabilities and increased attack surfaces as we grow as the internet and just as the world, right? Question 6. Why is it important for IDS and IPS systems to adapt to the latest security trends? This is pretty obvious, right? We want to make sure we have good heuristic base. We have updated signature files to ensure that they can detect and prevent the latest type of cyber threats. It's just like patching our systems, right? We just need to be updated. New vulnerabilities come out all the time. And through our defense in depth approach, we have to make sure that we're protected at every single layer, just like an onion.